Hey Mets fans, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are having a great start to your day. I know I am because I'm still pumped from yesterday's collab with Giraffe Neck Mark in my previous video. So if you guys haven't checked that out, make sure you do after this one. It was so much fun. We shared our thoughts breaking down the top 5 targets for the New York Mets this MLB offseason. But continuing the discussion with the Mets approach to the MLB offseason, as we know, they've been showing interest in keeping tabs on all these guys. And every day it seems like we're finding out more information with players that they'll either be more linked to or less linked to. And we saw just yesterday right down here below, and I'll have in the description as well, that Sandy Alderson was on a podcast with Jon Heyman discussing everything regarding the Mets and their approach to the offseason. And there are a lot of key points to take out of that and basically the direction with the Mets in regards to a guy like George Springer. So that is what we will be breaking down in today's video. The latest reports connecting George Springer with the New York Mets and the likelihood of him landing in Queens and everything in between. And as always, guys, make sure you stay all the way until the end of the video. Find all the deets and all my thoughts on George Springer, his connection with the Mets, and if he is the right or wrong fit for them going forward. If you end up enjoying this kind of Mets content and want to see more great Mets content like this, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Share this video with your friends, put on the notification bell. Really mean a lot. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers, guys. Trust me, you will not regret it. We are just starting here on the channel. I can only imagine where we are going to be over the next 6 months to a year. It really looks like the sky's the limit. So thank you all again, guys, and stay tuned. I will mention later in this video, I do have a live stream that will be coming up later this evening. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into this video. All right, guys, so I know it feels like George Springer is just always the topic of discussion, even after the Lindor and Carrasco trade. I know, but at the same time, that's how coveted this guy is, and that's why he's been in so much connection with the Mets since the start of the offseason, because all reports have indicated for months now that the Mets were the team where you could bet the farm on, bet your house on, whatever it means, where they are going to land him this offseason in free agency. And as what we have seen here in the podcast with Sandy Alderson, it was very telling, if you ask me, and I'll make sure to have it again in the description down below, guys. Make sure to check it out if you're able to, that the Mets are still going to address holes in the lineup this offseason. They're going to try to address everything between third base, one of the bullpen and the rotation, but hopefully both, and the outfield specifically. And what really stood out to me in this discussion with Sandy Alderson is that he doesn't just want to address the outfield, but he's trying to prioritize a right-hand bat. That's what they're going after in either the free agent market or the trade market as a whole. So I'm not eliminating the possibilities of the Mets addressing that center field option, say via the trade market versus free agency. That's still a possibility. And there's a player that I do have in mind that I may touch on in a future video. It seems a little far-fetched right now, just given the type of return you'd have to give up for a guy like him, but it makes a lot of sense at the end of the day. So stay tuned for that possibly, guys. But in regards to George Springer, we all know there's been highs and lows this offseason with the Mets and their connection to him. It went from saying, okay, it's a done deal, why hasn't it happened yet, to saying that, okay, things were a little far apart. It looked like that they were a year apart between the Mets wanting to pursue a 4-year deal, possibly upwards between 125 to 150 mil. Springer looking for a 5-year deal, at least 150 mil. And other reports have suggested that he's looking for more so around 175 mil, including Andy Martino. But again, take it with a grain of salt, right? But when we get into really what George Springer is looking for and the suitors that he has, it comes down to the Mets and the Blue Jays. At least that's what we've seen. The Red Sox could very well still be in that running as well, because they've been quiet. There's been reports to suggest that the Red Sox are still going to make quite the splash this offseason to try to contend next season. We'll see what happens, but I will say this: the Mets and the Blue Jays still look like the favorites here. And the Blue Jays, while they have money, there are a lot of other things that go in hand between the taxation and why actually land in Toronto, dealing with all the different adversities that come that way with playing for a team outside of the US. So realistically, it looks like the Mets are the top dog in these talks here, but it'll be more so on their terms, because the Mets do not have to do selling at this point, as we know. If you want George Springer, then you're going to have to really make sure that, one, you can give up the money, but two, when it comes to selling, Springer knows that he may very well have to take somewhat of a pay cut to land in Queens, because yes, if you get a 4 or 5 year deal, great. It's probably not going to be 175 million. It's really far-fetched to say that at this point in time. I won't say it's impossible, but it definitely seems out of the realm of possibility to this point, to this extent, I will say, until we see further reports. Because the Mets, if they're really trying not to go past even at 150 mil, or at least close to, not much more past that, I'm not sure how they would be able to land on that exact number. And with the Mets here, we all know what they're doing this offseason. We all know the direction they're going down. They're a team that's going to have both short-term and long-term success. Springer knows that. He knows that if he goes to the Mets, yes, he might be taking somewhat of a pay cut, but the caveat, the beauty of it is that he's going to be able to be with the team that really throughout the entirety of that contract, and really the last key years in his career, he'll be contending for a World Series championship each and every year, because that's the mindset the Mets have now, and it's not going to wait anytime soon. And yes, they have more holes that they need to address both in the offensive and the defensive side of things in this lineup, but regardless, they are still prioritizing Springer. And from what Sandy has said, they have been keeping dialogue. The interest is still there, but the connection is a little bit more loose at this point in time. At least that's what he has stated. So regardless, I do think that Springer is very well a possibility for the Mets, and it very well could mean that the Mets are out on a guy like Jackie Bradley Jr. that we touched on here previously on the channel. Does that mean that it's impossible for the Mets to not get JBJ still? No, it's not impossible, but the fact that they are prioritizing a righty in the outfield is pretty telling that, hey, it looks like George Springer, Kevin Pillar possibly, if they want to go more so a debt move, or someone through the trade market outside of others. I don't think that JBJ is as much of a certainty as a B option as I originally thought just from a couple days ago when the Mets reportedly have shown interest, or at least have had some dialogue with JBJ, but only time will tell. The Mets have been very stealthy this offseason, as we know. Between that Lindor and Carrasco trade, no one knew what was happening until it actually happened. The conversations picked up a couple days before on that Monday, as Alderson alluded to, and then that's when the deal was able to happen a couple days later. There was really nothing out there in reports to suggest that, okay, they were getting close to a deal. It just happened as a bomb by Jeff Passan. He was the first I saw to report on it, so shout out to him. But regardless, the Mets are in a prime spot to continue to address holes in the lineup this offseason. It's unbelievably exciting as a Mets fan, obviously, but now it's going to be key as to what direction they go down. And I know I keep saying this, but it holds true. The Mets reportedly just have around $30 million or so in money left before they hit the $210 million luxury tax threshold. So are they going to push the threshold, or are they going to even go past that threshold for their first offseason with this new regime with Cohen, Alderson, Porter? That's a possibility, but we simply will not know until we get more solidified reports and actually a deal done, whether it's through free agency or say another big market deal in the trade market for a blockbuster, if you will. So until one of those things happens again, or they make depth moves and then reportedly come out and say that, yes, we have to address more depth because we simply don't have a lot more money we're working with, then okay, we're gonna find out. But until then, we simply don't know, and we're gonna find out if they need to say trade away that Cano contract and Familia, if they'll be able to do it among some other routes. They have a lot of different directions that they're still going down. I truly believe that they still have their plans A through F figured out, but that Lindor and Carrasco trade definitely changes things up a little bit, if you ask me. But in the Mets' favor, knowing that they have a better idea as to, okay, we're going to address third base at least depth wise, we're going to address the bullpen and the rotation. Is it going to be more depth wise in the rotation, or are they still prioritizing a guy like Trevor Bauer? Time will tell on that front. Same thing with the bullpen, and we all know the main guy in regards to the bullpen. I'll probably touch on him in a future video because there's more to talk about on his front amongst some others. But the Mets have a lot of different options, as we know, but George Springer, if you ask me, is still the front runner to land with the Mets. Now it's just a ticking time on, will he be able to take a pay cut? Is he willing to take a pay cut? And do the Mets really have any serious competition outside of the Blue Jays, if at all? And are the Blue Jays that serious of a competition? We're not going to know until something actually gets solidified here, but hopefully it's sooner rather than later. And whenever it does happen, assuming it's with the Mets, I'll be right on here to report on it, either through a live stream or just a genuine video. But if you guys ended up enjoying this kind of Mets content, want to see more great Mets content like this, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, share this video with your friends, put on that notification bell and all those great things. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers, guys. We're just around 300 away, which is insane. So seriously, thank you all again for the countless support. It means the world. And stay tuned. I'll be live streaming later today, probably around 6 p.m. Eastern time, if I had to make it a time at this point, regarding the Mets and just their offseason outlook still, with guys like Springer and Hand in particular. I'll maybe headline with those two guys among some others, so stay tuned. I'm going to give you all the know. I'll be doing more of a Q&A with all you lovely Mets fans, so I hope to see you guys there. So let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comments below about George Springer. Do you think that his chances with the Mets have increased a little bit more than, say, a week ago with Landy and Queens, or do you think that they're still far away? I would love to hear all your thoughts. But thank you again, guys. It means the world, and I'll talk to you again real soon.